What is up, Brown Girl Tribe? This is your girl, Drea. So check it. Today's video is all about being the change that you want to see instead of complaining and being complacent. So it's human nature that people do not like to change. Change happens whether or not we like it, whether we rock with it. It's going to happen either way it goes. And a lot of times what I see on social media and in life, people click this button to go on social media to complain, also to just vent about their personal life instead of really taking accountability, responsibility to move your life forward. And I understand we all complain from time to time, but once it starts getting out of control and you start ruminating, and that is the topic of discussion every day, and for days, for weeks, for months, and hopefully you're not going to for years, and you're still figuring out, why am I still in the same place? Because you rather complain and you rather be complacent than to change. Change just takes 1% of doing the action that's completely different than what you did before, right? That quote of doing the same thing over and over and expecting results is truly insanity. And I'm seeing a lot of insane people online, offline. And a lot of times people do not care that you're going through this stagnant place. People do not care that you are going through this trauma drama because they're trauma bonding with you and like, girl, bro, what happened? They don't care about what happened. They're just like, thank God it's not me. And you are just, giving them more tools to weaponize you with, because people do weaponize you with, bad news, and also too with your complacency and your complaints, or they'll go and tell, which I like to say, the ops, right? So today, I want you all to think of one thing you've been complaining about for at least 4 days, for weeks, for months. I'm going to keep it as plain as possible. It could be a job that you totally hate. If you hate that job, why are you still there? Yes, I understand the job market, is in shambles. But wouldn't you rather go ahead and make the change by putting in one resume, one cover letter per day, or just taking out, let's say, a Monday, and you're saying, hey, I'm going to curate, complete a resume, revamp, and a cover letter, and start, flooding the market. How do you know that the job market is in shambles? See, I just said something like, oh, the job market is in shambles. If you have not been putting in your resume, and if you haven't been applying for jobs, I could sit up here and say, oh, the job market is terrible, while I'm sitting back, okay with my job, right? So those who are complaining and staying complacent, if you are, once again, continuously complaining, you're not putting in the work to really grow, and growth takes time. Change takes time, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It takes work. You may fail. It's not going to look linear. It's not going to look cute from time to time. You're going to be like, I'm so sick of this. I don't see forward movement. But you are moving forward because of the doors may not be flying open at this point in time. But those things take time, right? So once again, make sure that you are doing 1% better than what you did yesterday. I'm not saying you got to eat the whole elephant, because that's impossible, but taking little pieces at a time instead of coming on these apps, coming on the internet, bombarding your family and friends with the same complaints over and over. You're just driving yourself crazy. You're driving your family crazy. And when people see you, and then like, here they go, ruminating about the same thing, and you haven't made any changes, and people have given you tools to make changes. Now you're just trying to trauma bond with people, right? And there's plenty of people to trauma bond with, But that's not what we're going to do here over at the tribe. So here's some 4 tips I want to give to you all. Tip number 1, and yes, I wrote down those. In order for you to be the change that you want to see, you, sis, you, bro, must take accountability. I know that's a buzzword. I know people do not like that word. It sounds like a cuss word. Accountability. You have to take a look in the mirror. I don't care if you journal it, whatever. Ask yourself to say, am I happy in the stage of my life? Everything is an inside job. Everything also too comes from being aligned with your God, with your creator, with the Most High. That's having conversations with the Most High, through prayer, having conversations with family and friends, co-workers, whoever, to say, hey, give me honest feedback about myself. And if you keep seeing a pattern, let's say attitude, your attitude is terrible. You have a terrible attitude, people do not want to be around you. If 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people keep saying the same thing over and over, then you, sis, bro, you gotta take accountability for that and be like, I do have to change my attitude, because my attitude is probably a hindrance for me to get to the next level in life, right? Accountability is tough, because you're going to have to say, I played a role into blocking my blessings, missing opportunities, whatever the case is. We all have to take accountability for something in our life. We all cannot always be the victim, right? And do not be the victim. That's like 1A. Don't be the victim when you're not the victim, or you try to play this victim bully mentality. That's not how things work. And I know another buzzword, narcissism. Narcissism is real. Narcissism traits. We're not going into the diagnoses of narcissism as far as with narcissism personality disorder, but those traits are real. And when you out here being a victim, but then in turn you're bullying people because you're not getting the results, and then you want to be, oh, woe is me, but yet you want to bully people because they took the opportunity to really take accountability for their life to change. We're not going to do that. So that's number 1. Number 2, privacy is power. Yes, social media is an amazing app, but also it can be a curse, because a lot of people have now taken to social media to lay all your burdens down for people to weaponize you. Also, too, having this whole vent session, going back to what I gave you the example of, I hate my job. Anybody can look at that and be like, you know what, why would I hire this person? And it could be for your own business. And you're continuously spewing negativity about a client, whether it's about your supervisor at your job, or even down to going to you getting a divorce and you're talking all this trash about your ex. Anything could be used against you when it comes to social media. There's no such thing as like, yo, I'm going to go ahead and delete this post. You have this thing called a digital footprint that people can pull up the receipts from the cloud. Okay. So always ask yourself, and I always say, check yourself before you wreck yourself, before you post. Where I want this post to be viewed on a billboard, driving down any major highway. Here, I live in Alabama on 20. Do I want to see that on 20, 65, 95, wherever you live at, right? Privacy is power. And as much time you take to come on these apps to do a video, to do this whole post about you hate X, Y, and Z. You know how much energy you spent on negativity? You could have took that content and created something that's going to help better yourself and your future self, right? And I look at people like, wait, you done gave us this whole soliloquy monologue about you hate this, you hate your baby daddy, your baby moms, or whatever the case is. You could have took that same energy and poured it into yourself, poured it into some studies, a trade, a different skill set, hiring a coach, hiring a therapist, which is number 3 I'm going to talk about. And you come on here and you giving people information to weaponize you. Hence why it's important to not always share your location either. You know, people be like, oh, drop the location. Yeah, for your ops. I don't believe in ops, but for people to come at you and you know that you've been talking about them, and so they can really come at you and do some harm. So, number 2, privacy is power. Protect your privacy. If you cannot do that, we're going to lead to number 3. Get a therapist. People come on here, I can't afford a therapist. There's plenty of free therapy out there, and I have no problem providing a resource. In my previous life, before getting into higher education, I was a clinical therapist. You know, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. There's plenty of resources for you to get clinical professional help. If you work a full-time job and you have fringe benefits, you have this thing called employment assistance program that they will provide. Your insurance will provide to you for 8 to 12 weeks of free counseling sessions, from gambling addictions all the way down to grief and loss if you lost a family member, all the way down to if you're going through a divorce. If you out here, yes, we all have leisure time. We all have our vices that we like. But if you out here mismanaging your money and you're self-medicating, you know, self-medicating can go beyond going and, you know, drinking, smoking. It could be being a workaholic. It could be being a shopaholic, whatever your vice is, and you're putting money into it. This is the time to like take a stop. Going back to number 1, accountability. When you get a therapist and you talk about, I can't afford it. Yes, you can. You choose not to invest in yourself. And it's going back to being that victim. And you think, and you have experience being a victim has caused you to get the unwanted attention, right? When you go to a therapist, I even have a therapist. The best investment I had invested in myself. I could have came on here from 2020 to 2022, 2023 and told y'all everything about, oh, my divorce, oh, my ex did this, oh, this happened. I said no, because I'm not about putting my business out there for the streets. I went ahead and went back to therapy, and I was going through a lot, and invested my time and my resources, and I applied. Let's talk about this. Applied. One more time, sound like Allen Iverson. Applied the skills my therapist provided. She kept it real with me on days I was like, girl, I'm sick of you. But I needed that accountability to be responsible for my growth. And I'm thankful that I was able to invest in myself through therapy to say, hey, now I can make different moves. Now I can, see things more clearer. Because when you're in the midst of all this drama and being complacent and complaining, you're confused. And the author of confusion is the ops. So whether it's Satan or whoever is your op in your life, sometimes the op is you. Because you are abusing yourself by being complacent, by being a complainer, and you're not making moves and you're not making any changes because you get in your own way. Because once again, attention is the new currency. You've been, this learned helplessness that you can unlearn has been giving you attention. So that's number 3. Get you a therapist. Not your homegirls at brunch. I love me a good brunch too. Not your bros and your frat, because they got their own issues. Someone who is unbiased, who want to give you some tools to learn how to navigate your situation. And like I said, apply those tools. Number 3. Number 4. Oh, Lord. Work on something every day. Not work on pressing this button to come on social media. Work on something every day. The first thing you should be working on is yourself. Checking your attitude, checking your behavior, checking, are you self-medicating? Are you reading? Read at least 15 minutes a day. Expand your mind.